Everybody, welcome back to our next Lunch and Learn, and we are here in Corktown. So Corktown is a small area near the distillery, the West Donlands, and it's actually a spot where I sold one of my first houses when I got into real estate many years ago. It's a neat little neighborhood, and I wanted to do it. So the boundaries, it's Queen Street to the north, Eastern Avenue and Front Street to the south, Parliament's on the west, and east, it's sort of like the newly developed buildings in the West Donlands. If anything, the West Donlands, it kind of encroaches into Corktown, and I'll say it annexed some of the area, so to speak. And we'll address that area, that neighborhood in another video. So a good chunk was also lost when they created the on and off ramps to and from the DVP along Richmond, Adelaide, Eastern, and a lot of the housing was expropriated. And that's kind of why I'm filming here, I guess. I just wanted to show you these on and off ramps. The neighborhood, it gets its name from Irish immigrants who arrived from County Cork in Ireland, and they settled the area in the early 1800s. They were generally poor, and they worked in the brickyards and breweries in the neighborhood. Now, Corktown, it has some of Toronto's oldest landmarks. We all know the St. James Cathedral, the one at King and Church. That was for the rich people. The Irish newcomers, they couldn't afford the pew fees of St. James, so they built their own church here at the corner of King and Trinity in 1843. Little Trinity Anglican Church, which is just over the shoulder here. It's the oldest surviving church in the city. And behind the church, which is here, is the Enoch Turner Schoolhouse, and it was built in 1848. It's the oldest surviving school in the city. Though today it's more of an events venue. I've actually been to a wedding there. But anyhow, Turner, he supplied the funds to build the school, and the church donated the land. It was also the first free school in the city, and it was a catalyst in the city to have schools funded through taxation of its residents. The oldest Roman Catholic congregation, it's also here in Corktown. St. Paul's Basilica, which is literally right behind me. It's located on Queen Street, one block east of Parliament. This parish, it was established in 1822 by James Babby. And do you remember that Babby Point video I did just before the summer? Same guy. So the first church was on this spot in 1824, but this Romanesque revival building here, it was completed in 1889. And if you want a little ghoulish twist, the first Roman Catholic cemetery in Toronto is actually right behind the building. It's under the paved playground that belongs to St. Paul's Catholic School, and kids play on it today. I really have an affinity for this area, as it's just a quiet pocket right downtown. It's surrounded by so much. Broadview Village in Leslieville, it's just over the River Street Bridge to the east. There's a revitalized Donlands and distillery districts. It's just south of us, and it's really easy to get to the downtown core and St. Lawrence Market. There's also good access to highways, transit, and they're doing the Ontario line actually just at King of Parliament here, which will probably raise prices. Anyways, let's go to lunch. We're going to Wood 900 on Queen Street. So we're here at Wood 900. There's really not a ton of restaurants really right in Corktown. There's a lot sort of outside and not too far, but we wanted to dine in here. So we just sort of found like a local watering hole pub-like place. It just basically serves pub food. I got a chicken parm, Jamal got a pizza. Do I travel downtown to eat here? No, but if you're in the neighborhood and you want, a chicken parm and a pizza, that's actually pretty good. So if you are interested, stop by. So let's talk housing. Corktown has some of the oldest houses in the city, some dating from the 1850s, but there's a lot of new stuff as well. Given the nature of how this neighborhood came to be, detached homes, they're virtually non-existent. Over 80% of the houses sold are row houses, mostly on narrow lots between, say, 12 and 17 feet wide, even though a few select ones may be 20 feet or a little bit more. Many were built, as I said, from the mid-1800s to the early 1900s, and they were workers' houses. So starting from about the mid-1990s, there was a revitalization in the area, and there are a bunch of cool newer towns, some condos, and even cool lofts. So prices. Since it's not a huge pocket, the overall number of sales has been kind of limited the past few years, but here's what's happened. With respect to some of the smaller, older homes, we're talking just over $1 million for a smaller, older reno to about 1.5, 1.6 for a nice reno on an older property. This one here is actually a great example. It's actually on the market for 1.1, and they're accepting bids, so they're hoping for a bidding war. We'll see what it sells for. Some of the newer, they're much larger towns, and there's actually good examples here on the same street. You're talking 1.6, I'd say low 2 millions. As for condos, I mentioned there were a bunch, and there have been many more condo sales in the neighborhood than there have been freeholds. One bedrooms, mid 400s, which are tiny and no parking, to high sixes for larger with parking. 1+1, I guess you're talking mid 500s to high sevens. Two bedrooms, there's some smaller no parking two bedrooms with 500 or 600 square feet. They're selling about the mid sixes, and it goes up to 1.2, 1.3 for bigger properties. And then there's lofts. And there are some real hard lofts in Corktown, and I don't really see them come up too often. 535 Queen Street, which is just down there. It's a hard loft building with 11 units. It was converted in 1999. I haven't seen a sale in a while, so I really can't tell you the prices. It is called the Carhartt Lofts. Behind me here, 426 Queen. It's the Knitting Mill Lofts. It's on the north side of Queen, but if you look at the signage, it still says Corktown. I sold that entire building for the builder back in the late 90s. It's a 4-story wood beam and exposed brick building. It's got 28 units. Everything is really unique in there. It's a really, really good building. 393 King. It's King in Parliament. It's not a hard loft. It was built in the mid 1990s, so it's not a conversion. But each unit has 2 stories and they have 16-foot ceilings. It's a really neat building. And last one I'll mention is just north here, 90 Sumac. Love that building too. I used to own in there. Anyhow, let's wrap it up. I love doing these videos. Like, share, and we'll talk soon.